I am your host, Immortal Brendel, or call me Sir Brendel, up to you. I am joined by my fabulous survival horror enthusiasts. Let's start off with Andre. Introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Andre B. Venom, and we're going to be talking about a great, Evil Within 1 and 2. But yeah.
Alright. Petty Eyes. Introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Christina, and I started streaming in April because I was locked in my house because of coronavirus, and I wound up loving it, and I love survival horror, so that's why I was invited.
Nice. And Dirty Dan. Introduce yourself.
God damn it. But anyways, yes, I am Dirty Dan, and I am here to talk about The Evil Within 2 with these lovely people, even though I've only played the first game. Better to get some info.
Nope. Okay. I'll read off number one to start this off. How do you feel about Evil Within 2?
Hey, you forgot to introduce me, good sir.
Oh, no, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
Yes,
No, I
you did.
You did.
I didn't. I was kidding. Renegade, go right.
All right. Fuck you, by the way. My name is Renegade Operative. I'm looking forward to this podcast of Evil Within 2. Can't wait.
Yeah. As I was saying... Okay, how do you feel about Evil Within 2 in comparison to the first one? What did it improve in your honest opinion? Anybody could go first.
I guess I'll go first and I'll make it quick. Evil Within 2 is a really good sequel. Like, it improves a lot of my issues with the first game, namely the gameplay. And I do really like the game a lot. Like, I do kind of like how it continues the first game story with like how Sebastian's trying to look for his daughter. I did really like the new villain. Well, we'll get to that later. But yeah, I really did like the new characters, and I really liked how they like improved the gameplay and stealth. It was definitely really good. I do have some mixed feelings on some things, but other than that, it's still a really good sequel, though.
I actually like the second one more. I kind of like the fact that it's equally scary and stressful, but it also has kind of a beautiful, touching feeling with it. Maybe that's just me being a woman, but like, I don't know. I just like the way the second one feels.
Damn.
Better. Yeah. The second one I played through like 4 times.
Really? Nice.
Yeah. And as I said earlier, the first one just kind of pissed me off, and I felt like it was like Skyrim and Silent Hill put together, but not in a good way.
How about you, Dan? I'll let you go next. Oh, you haven't played the second one yet, did you?
No, I haven't.
You have to skip to me. All right.
Alright.
I enjoyed this game like very thoroughly. I thought Evil Within 2 was good. I like some of the surprises that they did with it, considering that they opened up the game a little bit more, so you can explore. It's a lot more, I would say, substance in each area, so it's kind of dangerous too, because you rarely see survival horror games that take on that sort of thematic, and I really enjoyed that. I also like the fact that they have fixed a lot of the mechanical issues. It's still bugs in this game from what I saw, and my game did crash when I was playing it, but I kind of felt like the frame rate was a little bit more iffy in the first one compared to this one, so that's a nice touch. And also the graphics, they definitely improved on that as well. So I would say overall, in terms of like improving, enhancing, and most of the stuff they did, it was really enjoyable with this game.
I'm actually in the camp of 2 is a lot better than 1 as well. But there's one thing I actually would agree with Dom, which I wish he was here because he would elaborate better than I would. There's some elements that the first game had that the second game doesn't have. Even one particular gameplay mechanic where you can actually light bodies on fire and lure enemies towards them, and a good way to save ammo without just going ham, shooting them or using stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, overall, I do think that 2 is definitely a much better made game. But there's definitely still a lot of technical issues because for some reason the engineering using was trash. So many texture pops, frame rate dips, you name it. The problem was
that
there.
Never happened for me. I mean, for me personally, I played it on Xbox and then Windows 10, and both times it was really smooth. Also, on the saving ammo thing, I really enjoyed the bottles and the crowbars. They helped. Oh, and the axes too. They really helped.
Yeah. I'm glad they kept that over from the first game because that was also a thing. But I wish they went one shot because there's no way an axe would break in one hit. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But thank God for brass knuckles.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, like, for me, just back on the technical issues, I did, like, get a game crash. I also saw some of this pop-in stuff going on. Like, it's to me personally, I think it handles, like, enemies out in the distance better than, say, the Resident Evil remakes where they're, like, walking and they look stilted. It's just that
like
some
15 frames.
Yeah, 15 frames. But it's just some of the trees and bushes. If you really look, you can see those issues. It's not a deal breaker, so to speak, but I do want them to try a new engine going forward if they do make a third game.
Yeah, I agree because even like not just the trees and whatnot, not the foliage, it's also the like the concretes and whatnot. Those things sometimes can pop up though. However, though, I played since launch day. And I experienced more graphical issues there than I did now. Because I replayed recently, I was playing on Kuma mode. And the graphical issues weren't necessarily an issue now by comparison. So they must have patched it up pretty well over the, last 2-3 years?
Yeah, I noticed that. I mean, also when you say that the people in the distance, I remember running around first playing The Evil Within 2, and I just remember thinking, wow, this is kind of what an open world Resident Evil would feel like. Because I remember seeing a lament like way off in the distance, and I was really impressed.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like,
world is real quick though. Open world is kind of a bit of a stretch to be quite honest, because now it's more like open HUD. Because it's more restricted than it really should be, especially since there's like no chapter select. And once you move up during to the story, you actually get less of that. Like the more you progress, the more linear the game becomes.
Well, Resident Evil is just so closed in compared to it. It was just refreshing, at any take.
Yeah.
Yeah, compared to those games are highly linear. This is like semi-open in my personal opinion. However, that being said, like I could go on a tangent for years talking about how I would like to see an RE game in this format, but I think this game, for the first attempt after the first game, it did it really well. So I would like to see that come back maybe in the future. Compared to, because we got to go to the next question, we kind of are answering it, but the stuff they took out of the first game, it's some stuff that I'm glad they took out, and there's some other things that's like kind of weird. Like, I kind of like the enemies better in terms of enemy design because they just look like jizz monsters, if I'm being honest, in this game.
I know I say the jizz world a lot.
Yeah, they
like,
look really weird.
Even I actually make that joke with Dom back when we were playing the game. Like, no, this look like semen. It looks like a nut on the wall. Sorry, my language. I'm like, what is all of this?
True.
Man? And then he was asking like, is this actually semen? Like, no. I was joking. I don't know what it is for real, but it does come off as that though. But same time though, with the whole artistry they got going on, people thought it was paint, but we don't know what it is.
It's just very weird.
Drink milk for a while after playing that game.
Drink milk.
Oh god.
Yeah, the enemies, what do they call them? The haunted or whatever. They just look like
haunted.
barbed wire.
I think the Lost or something.
Yeah, they're the Lost in this
the
game.
second one.
Yeah. In the first one, they're called the Haunted, and they have barbed wire and glass all over their body, and I just thought that looked way better.
True.
I'm also trying to think of what else. I would agree with Brandon, like them taking out the fact that you could burn bodies. It was really helpful in the first game if you knocked them over and burned their bodies. And also they kind of played possum, so you had to do it, and they would get up later if you didn't. And that kind of gave me some Resident Evil Remake 1 flashbacks where you could burn zombies with the flash.
Oh,
Yeah.
with the Crimson Head.
Actually, no, hold on. Sorry to cut you off, though. Let me just read off number 2 then, since we're technically on that subject. All right, what are some things that you missed from the first game that isn't in the sequel? All right, now continue.
Oh, well, what you were saying about them playing possum. That's why I like the fact that you can have a knife to see if they wake up right away. So if you stab them, they don't lunge at you right away. You kind of have a chance to switch to a gun.
Oh yeah, I forgot you can do that.
Yeah, I like that. I do that a lot.
Anyone else for this question?
Yeah. Oh yeah. See, I didn't play the first one so much, so yeah, somebody else take that.
Actually, yeah, there's one thing I really miss is chapter select because sequel doesn't have it.
Oh yeah, that's true.
They cut it out because of the open world thing.
Yeah, because if you're going for all collectibles, like, or going for 100% like I did, because I got the platinum, right? So if you miss one collectible and, like, say, chapter 14, you got to start all the way back over, unless you had a save right there that you missed that collectible in.
Oh.
And that was annoying because Evil Within 2 is surprisingly a pretty lengthy game, even if you skip everything.
I like how they word the collectibles. They're like, this looks really familiar, but I don't know from where.
Oh yeah, the Bethesda stuff.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think for a second. I know I had that same problem because in order to get one of the keys, I think I had to go back to chapter 4. And because I started on New Game Plus, I'm like at chapter 6 and I didn't realize that. So I had to go all the way back to that chapter in order to get it. And I feel like maybe if they did do something where the stats were better, it wouldn't be such a problem, as well as add in the chapter select, because this is really annoying that I have to start the whole game over just to get to that point.
Yeah. That's irritating.
All right, so I guess we can move on to question number 3. I'll read it. So how do you feel about the semi-open world approach within this game? Did it add anything unique, or do you prefer a more linear approach? We kind of talked about it a little bit, but again, I would prefer this semi-open world compared to linear, because it's something the first game did, where it's like, while there is a lot of linear areas, you don't get to explore that much. In this one, I feel like you do.
Actually, you know what? From this question on, I'm actually going to be comparing this to the more Resident Evil games, specifically the recent games, the remakes.
Mm-hmm.
Because Evil Within 2, I'm about to say 3, was something that Resident Evil 3 remake could have been. No, even if the whole game was not going to be like this whole less linear, like, it'd been nice if certain parts of the game would have been more semi-open as opposed to the whole thing being linear. Because you remember in the original game, Resident Evil 3 was more open, almost open-ended.
And there's options too in the original.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true. That would have been great. But yeah, I mean, the open world aspect kind of stressed me out a little bit when I started playing Evil Within 2, just because I was like, oh, there's all these options and I don't know which monsters where. And the fact that there are kind of semi-bosses hiding in different places is really cool. But then, I mean, when I got used to it, I was obsessed with it.
What about you, Andre?
What the
open world?
Semi-open world in the game?
Yep.
I actually liked it quite a lot, and I think I said this in the chat. I think a while back, like the other survival, other horror game, but for some reason, it kind of gives me Silent Hill vibes just a little bit with just how the areas are, because I know in Silent Hill you explore the town and you have to more so find like clues if you want to progress. So it's kind of like that, but it's more like in Silent Hill, you don't do side missions. You kind of more so do story Evil Within. You just mostly like, you can do like side stuff, like, get upgrades and stuff like that. But I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the whole psych side mission. That was cool.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm. Now, actually,
what?
One. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
I have a side question here. Do you guys have any favorite side missions in this game, or least favorite?
Favorite side mission, Honestly, I would say Enema. I feel like her side missions were actually fun because they were different. Because for starters, so you can't blaze your way through it with your usual methods, right? And if she catches you, it's GG's.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like a puzzle.
Yep.
Exactly. Especially the last one, though. You have to use the reflection on the mirror to escape.
Oh yeah, I like that.
And my other one, I actually do like I forgot his name. The black guy you saved from those hordes of lost. Yes, Sykes. I do like his side mission though, because he actually has character.
Yeah, his is my favorite.
And then he gets sucked away into oblivion with a 25% chance of surviving, which is absolutely funny. I was like,
yeah, that's why I was like, psych. Oh, that's why that's his last name.
I'm gonna be honest though, I'd rather take that chance than be killed by those things.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, at least if you do his like little method there, you'll be asleep for a long time.
But you'll just be sucked into the Squidward thing, just like alone.
The Squidward thing.
The
Oh,
Squidward
on a side note, actually, about Psych, if you do not engage in the side quest and you come back to that spot later, once you actually can come back to that location and later in the story, he's gone. So either he actually dies out or he does this thing on his own without your help.
It's
Oh, and then
probably
you just
a
don't
lot
get the
later.
boxes unlocked.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Oh, man.
I think if you leave him, like if you save him and then you play the game normally, you don't do his side missions later, and then Theodore shows up and then everything starts turning on fire and shit. I think
Yeah,
he
he's
dies.
not there
You find,
anymore.
yeah, no, you can actually find his body somewhere in the area. I just forget which part it was.
Oh, that I didn't know, because I just went into the locale and didn't find him. Oh, hey, speak of the devil.
I'm so sorry about that.
Oh, is this sleepy guy?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Dom, how are you?
Bio Devil Sleep,
Wait.
finally.
Get those crumbs out of your eyes. Let's get started.
How far are we into this?
We're at question
3
number
questions
3.
in.
Yeah. let's
Oh,
put
okay. So
questions in.
it's not that far. Okay.
No, you missed a actually good question I proposed earlier, but I wanted you to elaborate. But Dom, introduce yourself.
Because I actually. Oh yeah. My name is BioDevil_Dom. I'm a really sleepy boy today. I don't even remember what podcast we're doing today. So.
Evil Within 2.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I just need the doc for that.
I posted it in podcast.
Oh, podcast only. Okay, cool. Thank you. Oh. Yeah, I think I made that question actually.
I kind of envy you because I was really stressed about this. I kind of wish I was like chill about it.
Oh, me?
Yeah, I was like, did it start yet? How about now?
Yeah. I'll okay. If you guys don't mind, I can answer number 3 really quick before I answer number 4.
Sure, go ahead.
So I actually don't mind that. It was one of my favorite aspects about Evil Within 2 that everything's kind of like semi-open. Like at least in the earlier parts of the game, and then just very certain segments of the game. Because actually, believe it or not, the Evil Within 1, it was going to be a more open game. Like you were supposed to like be traveling from like place to place to place and going to these very like desolate, like abandoned locations and kind of exploring like what happened in those places and running into like, at least in that game, the haunted and finding out like what happened and what is going on in each location and whatnot. But that had been scrapped for a more linear game. In Evil Within 2, it's sort of been more opened up, and that's great because it's like you can now explore and go into like some of the houses and stuff like that. You can't go through every house, similarly to like Silent Hill, but it gives us more options to like find the resources that we need instead of just feeling like, oh, we could just kill every single enemy and pretty much stock up on what we need. And also we can discover like unique things that are scattered throughout the world. I do prefer this approach for a horror game, but I do not think that every single game needs to be like semi-open, because
It wouldn't be unique anymore.
yeah, it wouldn't be unique. And then also too, as far as like open world games are concerned, it's like we've gotten so many of them at this point. I really think that we need to start cutting back and do more linear games, which is weird because like I highly praise Ghost of Tsushima. It's like one of my favorite open world games, but I do think, you know, we have to like start scaling back down.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate real quick. I think it's true that we've gotten a lot of open world games where they are pretty much generalized and standardized. However, that being said, we haven't got a lot of open world horror games actually.
Probably so.
Yeah,
but
I would like a lot more of those.
Unless you count Silent Hill Downpour.
No.
Yeah.
Oh god.
See, I actually, and I don't mean to drag on this question too long, but like, what I would like, and this is a bit off topic, but like Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City, like that premise of playing as like villains within the like Resident Evil franchise. Maybe not necessarily having to be set within Raccoon City, but other like locations that we know of in RE that, you know, Umbrella could have been involved in, right? I think that would be really cool if you could just plop in with like a group of 4 people or maybe even 6 people, and then basically have the goal of just going around searching through like various locations and scavenging for like resources that you all need, like health items, ammo, etc., and also stacking on top of that not really fulfilled promise of being able to go around like potentially taking out like survivors and key characters for like a what if scenario, and also legitimately destroying evidence, because that didn't really happen in that game, but you get my point. So
Mhm.
Actually, Dom, I made the note of this is what Resident Evil 3 Remake should have been, using this type of archetype with semi-open
yeah.
world stuff while still keeping it somewhat linear.
yeah. Funny thing about that game too is like the concept art for that game, they were showing that it was going to be more open, and clearly that wasn't the case. But that's a whole another game to discuss on another day. But definitely one of those games that would have like benefited out of it.
All right, we're all done with number 3, right?
Yes.
Yep.
All right, Dom, you read number 4. Sleepyhead.
Okay. What is your favorite or least favorite enemy to fight in this game? So I think my most favorite enemy to like fight in this game probably is just actually the like standard haunted. Or actually, I don't even know if they're called haunted.
The Lost.
In two. I'm
Lost.
sorry.
They're called the Lost.
Mhm.
Oh, they're called the Lost. Okay, yeah, because I remember they were like different things for different stuff.
It's the same type of enemy, but they got different names.
Yeah. So I actually really like fighting them because unlike in the first game, you know, like most of the enemies were just covered in like barbed wire, you know, and they might have like axes stuck in their heads and you know, half like ripped off faces and shit like that, and that looked cool. But we actually don't really see a whole lot, at least in horror games, at least of this kind of variety, where the enemies have like a paint motif with it. You know, and I don't remember if I wrote this down when I was making this doc about like Stefano, for example. Like, I actually feel like it was a very underwhelming thing for them to like just kill him off so early, because I feel like a lot of the enemies feel more in line with kind of his aesthetic as a villain.
Yeah, like he's an artist, right? And the whole motif around Evil Within has this like weird coat of paint, right? And but he killed off the artist so early, you know?
Yeah, I loved that. I mean, as an artist myself, I really loved that.
It's appreciate the art, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But like.
But yeah, the other ones, you're right, with the barbed wire and everything. It's a lot like Resident Evil Revelations 2 enemies.
Well, yeah, and that game actually came out before Revelations 2, so it's like, but at least in the case of the first game, that was more of an aesthetic for that game in general, not so much specifically tying to Ruvik himself, although Ruvik himself, like, with the stuff that he was doing within STEM, did use a lot of barbed wire. It was not specifically, like, a motif around him specifically, per se. So I really like that like design and whatnot for those particular enemies, and I like just being able to fight them, because like when you plop off one of their arms, like paint and blood comes out. It's like really cool looking. Probably my least favorite enemy to fight is actually the one that will chase you around the town, and like
I mean the bosses.
Harbinger?
Is it? It's the one that
the fire.
It's the ghost lady that will chase you.
Oh,
around and
Enma.
will keep.
Yeah.
She will keep you locked in a room or whatever if you like back yourself up into a corner, and she could just face through the wall and potentially kill you. Or if she doesn't notice you or isn't able to find you, she will like kind of fuck off after a few minutes.
Yeah, because her stuff is side quests though, but you can actually run into her in the open world, which is pretty cool, but also inconvenient and terrifying because I'm not ready to gauge with her because you can't even kill her for starters.
Although the
Yep.
unlock for that shit is really cool when you do all of them because you get a little like Easter egg basically for the first.
We discussed that.
Oh,
Yeah, we
shit.
did.
Okay, yeah.
The
She's a really
revolver.
good singer, at least.
Yeah.
I guess I'll make mine like really quick. So the personal favorite enemy that I like fighting is the one that's kind of like O'Neill, the mini O'Neills with the flamethrowers.
Harbingers.
Yeah, the Harbingers. They're cool. I like how they just scream stuff out if they're burning stuff. It's kind of funny. The enemies I don't like fighting is the Hysterics, I believe. It's the woman in white with the knife in her hands. Fuck that enemy entirely on classic mode because I don't like how much damage they take if they hit you. It's really stupid, and they run, and they're fast,
And
and
the axe just makes them mad.
yeah, if you
Yep.
try to stealth kill them, they will not feel it and turn around and say, "What the fuck you doing? I'm
Oh,
coming
yeah,
after
You
you."
have to do it twice in order to kill him with self kill.
I
They
hate that.
sound, though. They sound like they're from The Grudge with that like.
Yeah, the ones
sound.
that scream, I
Yeah.
think is that an enemy?
Yeah, that's the Hysterics. I don't like those characters at all.
So
And
my
you know-
least favorite is Harbinger. Actually, I hate him.
Really?
Yeah.
He really
No,
stresses me out.
they're easier to deal with, but they have flamethrowers, so that just speaks
Yeah.
for itself.
And that like weird panting sound that they make when they're running around.
Those also give you a cool unlock though. So.
Oh yeah, you get if you get
Yeah.
the 2 tanks, you get the really cool flamethrower, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you gotta kill all three of them in open world to get the
Yeah.
parts.
Yeah.
The first
Yeah.
one is mandatory, I think, and then the other.
No,
two are
I'm pretty
Or
sure
is
there's
there
3
4?
in the open world. Yeah, yeah, technically
Oh,
4.
yeah, because there's
Yeah.
the I'm
The
thinking of the
boss.
one that's mandatory. There's one that is
Yeah.
mandatory because.
Oh,
of the
O'Neill,
story.
I think he's on.
It's
Yeah.
scripted.
Yeah, that's O'Neill.
One's one is scripted, and you have to fight like 3 others or 2 others.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's a flaming post plus, which is annoying, but what I did was I basically just sniped them out and I got the gas tank.
Yeah, sniper's good for him.
Yep.
I think I'll go next. And my favorite and technically sort of least favorite as well is honestly the mini bosses like the Harbinger and those chicks with the chainsaw arms. While it is exciting and also scary to deal with them, it's also an inconvenience where you have low on ammo and try to do something with the story. Then you have this chick that just comes out of nowhere, literally jump from the sky or form from the dead corpses and start chasing you around. Which I do like the little nod there because that's why the bodies keep getting piled up, so that way those girls can spawn.
Are we on the next? We're on the next one about the bosses, right?
Not yet.
I didn't
Oh,
go
okay.
actually.
Okay.
Or-
Wasn't sure.
But my least favorite, I gotta agree with Renegade. You know, those girls with the knives, man. Fuck those things, dude. Seriously.
Yeah.
They take so much damage and they deliver so much damage as well. Along with those weird dog things that could bite your head off if you're not careful enough.
Oh yeah, I know you're talking about the dogs that spawn in the cutscene like early in the game. I
Oh yeah,
really
the spider dogs.
yeah, the spider dogs. Well, apparently they're stupid because on classic mode when I saw them, I just went into the grass and they couldn't see me. But if they spot you, then you're going to have a hard time getting away from them because they are so freaking fast.
Oh, maybe they're like a licker but backwards. They're deaf instead of blind.
It reminds me of that cartoon Cat Dog where it's like the cat
There-
at the ass end of the dog and they're fused
Oh,
together.
yeah, cat dog. Cat
Yeah.
dog.
There's like a really convoluted way to just avoid them when you're like leaving the gas station, but you have to take like this stupidly ridiculous like long way around. It's it's like you don't even have to necessarily hide in the grass. It's just more so like you're just taking a really long like path around that like gas station that you like go into.
Mm-hmm.
And after a certain point, like their like detection just kind of cuts off because they're just unable to see you or aggro at that range.
Actually, it's funny. If you prep during that mission and you push a yellow crate, as soon as Stefano spawns them, you can climb up the crate and immediately get out. That's how I ran away from them. That's how I got away from them in classic mode.
Try that.
I just shot him.
I just shot
There
him.
you go. I know, I kind of just go blasting when in this game. I get so angry.
Yup.
I have no patience to hide.
Yeah.
Moving on to the
Alright,
next
so,
one.
Oh wait.
Yeah.
I don't. think
Andre,
I
you
did.
go, right?
Oh,
Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
go ahead, sir. Andre? Going once,
you
going...
Okay.
Is he
I
dead?
think we lost them.
Oh, okay, there we go. He's alive.
Oh, okay. I'm here. In terms of enemies I like the most, I actually do like fighting the Harbingers. They're annoying to fight, but I think when you fight them enough times, you get used to it. But the enemy I like the least, it's pretty much Brandon and Ren's answer. The Historics are really fucking annoying.
They suck, dude.
Yeah.
And the worst part about them is the ones that you have to face while getting more ammo because the game is like, fuck you, they're right here, so you have to either run by them or like try to kite them in a way where you jump off the banister, climb up the ladder, get back up there. It's so annoying in my opinion.
Isn't there one you have to fight in one section where you have to go through with a gas mask on?
Oh, yeah.
Let me... No, I think that's another enemy where it's
There's some,
like
the tall witches in there.
some
Yeah.
tall witch with like gas all over her. That's not the Hysteric. The Hysteric is the one where it's a lady in white and she has a knife.
I know who you're referring to because if she screams, she will alert all the enemies that are
Yep.
quote unquote sleeping
Oh,
there.
the lament.
Yep.
Yeah, the lame asses.
So
Lame.
I like that.
Lamasses.
At least you can like sort of get behind her and do a stealth kill. She'll die like instantly, so they're not really a problem if you know how to deal with them.
I like that gas mask part. I forgot about that.
Oh yeah, that's the first part where they put it in like first person, and I thought that was weird for a second. I'm like, wait, what's going on? And then all of a sudden, it's kind of creepy. So I wish it was like just one more section like that in the game.
So actually, you can play the whole game like that now.
Yep, due to the
because-
patch.
Yeah, because the patch allows you to link a Bethesda account, I think, and then you can just enable like certain modes. And
What if I didn't suffer from queue conflict? I have this thing where first-person games make me very ill.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Overwatch makes me want to throw up after 20 minutes.
I wouldn't recommend it then because it
Yeah.
it kind of gets a little wobbly, you know. So yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess we can move on to the next one about the bosses.
Yep.
Let me
I'll
read.
take that.
Oh, go ahead.
So the boss that I hate that makes me really stressed is the one that's in the room with the keepers after you kill them. That one Laura, I think she's from the first one, the spider lady.
Yeah.
That makes me so
Oh,
mad
yeah.
because I die like 5 times in a row. I'm always so close to burning her and then she gets me.
Yeah, she likes smacking you in the head multiple times.
Yeah, I can't.
I hate
She's
that.
so fast and she teleports and I just can't stand her. But my favorite boss is actually the Watcher. I think he's so cute.
The Watcher.
Yeah, he just zooms right in with his big face.
No, I want to go next. My favorite boss fight? I don't necessarily have a favorite because I find most of them not as compelling as they should be. But I gotta go with Stefano because he's just a compelling character in general.
He's difficult.
Like his motif is kind of original for most like games out there. He's an artist that used body horror as a way to kill his victims.
Yeah. Obscura is cool too.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I really like Obscura.
I'll go next.
You got it.
So as far as like my probably one of my favorites at least is the Obscura boss fight because I know you guys just mentioned that mostly because like aesthetically speaking it's like really cool. You have like this fucking thing that's on like what 3 or 4 legs and then it's got like this big ass old like camera that can like swivel around and like zoom in on you and you have to like shoot that specifically to get away from it. So I thought that was kind of unique in terms of a gimmick. But I think the one that I disliked the most actually was Myra, which is the final boss. I don't know. I just kind of felt like it was very meh. Like,
Yeah.
the story behind it is very like sad and like really depressing and whatnot. But I was not a huge fan of the fight itself. Like I just felt like it was maybe a little bit more anticlimactic.
Yeah, I don't. If I were to interject, like, I don't like that boss either because it's your carbon copy. She spawns enemies, shoot the sags, and then you get kind of confused after a while. Then she regenerates. It's like a rinse and repeat sort of thing. So that's why I really don't like that boss fight that much. I would say she's also my least favorite in terms of bosses.
So in terms of just really quick, if you don't mind me interjecting, like. Between Myra and technically Leslie at the very end of the game, bit of a spoiler alert if anybody hasn't played the first game, because more or less Ruvik and Leslie had swapped minds and you actually killed Leslie at the end of the first game and not Ruvik. Which final boss fight do you think is better or worse between the two?
At least, Leslie, so to speak. But at least Leslie's boss fight is so batshit insane because there's that part where you get impaled at the end and you have the RPG, and I like that a lot. So at least they have a lot going on. This one is just... for the second one, it's kind of boring, I'm not gonna lie. Like, once again, just a bunch of enemies spawn. It kind of reminds me of a big RE5 style fight, but it doesn't have the finesse of a Resident Evil 5 boss. It's just you're just shooting the thing to death until something finally happens.
Giant jizz monster.
That's true.
Yep.
Actually, if I could just interject really quick, I just want to add something about Obscura.
Sure.
I'm not going to get super graphic or anything, but like I really would love to see when the whatever woman does the voice acting for her is actually recording it, like how awkward that is. 'Cause it's like really sexual.
She's like moaning.
Yeah. Her boss is just like moaning for whatever.
Yeah, and
reason.
like all the comments on her boss fight on YouTube are like, I don't know if I want to have sex with her or kill her.
I think
Okay then.
Okay, then that's.
I wasn't expecting that, but
Yeah.
privy to whatever.
I mean, you'll learn that that's me.
Honestly, it didn't sound like she was moaning to me though. So either I'm
Definitely.
just.
no, it was moaning.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm like, Stefano, what have you been doing to this woman? Oh,
Well, there's that little
okay.
sound clip of him making her. Remember, she's like screaming in agony, so it was definitely after the fact.
Oh, that's right. She cut the tongue. I mean, he cut the tongue off. Oh God, that was horrible, man. Like that man's horrible.
Yeah. He looks like Pete Wentz, kind of.
Actually, you know what? I just remembered this thing too. Like, as far as like that boss fight is concerned, it is also kind of like one of the bosses from the first game's DLC, the Light Woman.
Oh, the DLC with the light
Spotlight?
on it.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
the woman that chases you around with like the spotlight head or whatever, and you gotta like shoot that in order to disorientate her as well.
I forgot about that.
Which, if I'm not mistaken, the director of the DLCs was actually like the main, like, I don't know if he was the lead or the producer for two, but
I think he's the director of 2. John
yeah,
Johannes.
yes, it was something like that where like he was working on 2 as like one of the heads. So
Mhm.
What was that thing's name? Oh, Shade. That's right. With the light head.
I'm trying to think. Best boss.
Oh, sorry, Ren, to cut you off real quick though, but I actually have an honorable mention. I like Theodore's boss fights because they're throwbacks from the first game.
Oh yeah, when you fight all the.
The disciples.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, the disciples, quote unquote.
Yeah,
remember that,
that's pretty much my favorite boss because it's once again very reminiscent of the first game with Laura, the Keeper, everything in between is very cool. I love it. It's like a big old flashback, a big old callback.
oh, I can't wait till we get into like questions 6 and 7 because I feel like those kind of go hand in hand.
Let me see. Let me go back to the document actually. Oh, I see. Well, if anyone has already gone for this question, we could just move on to 6.
Yeah, who will read off number 6?
I'll do it.
Go right ahead.
Okay.
name some things that you disliked in the sequel.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna let you go first in this one because this is actually more a recent thing. After playing the Resident Evil remakes games, the feel around Evil Within feels a lot more stealth than I remember it was. On top of that, the FOV is honestly really bad. It's too close to Sebastian.
Yo, I would say those are my two big gripes. Like, the camera feels like way too close. I know on PC you could probably resolve this problem easy, but on consoles, I have this on PS4, you can't. And the patch did not do anything to service that, so it's really close to Sebastian. And the second thing, like Brandon said, is the movement. It just feels like his run speed, his normal run speed without the sprint is kind of trash.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm trying to run and regain my stamina. I can't run or anything after the fact. It's like I'm just slow walking. So I really don't like that notion.
I actually dislike the stamina meter a lot, actually, because it's became like a trope or a trend lately for a lot of games to have a stamina meter. I wish it was not a thing even in the first game, because I feel like that's more like an artificial way to slow you down than anything.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
also feel like when you
Yeah.
fully upgrade him or like half upgrade him in the stealth department, that's how it should have been in the beginning.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So actually with the FOV thing too, it's interesting because both RE2 and 3 remakes included FOV sliders on the console version. Even
Mhm.
Devil May Cry 5 has a fucking FOV
Yeah.
slider, which is like
Oh, yeah,
on
the field of
console
view.
no less, which is like, you know, not very common as far as I'm aware. So like if we were to see an Evil Within 3, that would be nice, because like I think even Evil Within 1 has that same problem where the FOV is just way too close, especially for aiming in particular. It's like, yeah, we don't really need to be that close. Like, just make a good enough crosshair. As far as like the stamina meter and like the running stuff goes, like I'm kind of 50-50 on it. Like I could do with or without it. I've learned to kind of adapt based on that. So it makes no difference to me. But some of the things that I actually dislike about this game is like we lost a couple of things from like the first game, like being able to like torch bodies with like the matches. Like, and I know you could say, well, it might not have been as used as often, but it's like, well, that's another resource that's just gone. I'm trying to think what else. Oh yeah, and we'll kind of get more into this in question 7, but like some of the story, especially for like the side stuff, is very inconsistent and never really touched upon or explained. And it would have been nice to have seen a DLC for this stuff, but we never got like anything as far as like post game content is concerned for 2.
Yeah, I would have loved that.
And
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
like as far as like explaining the plot holes in the main game with DLC would have been nice, because like, you know, again, there's issues with it. Also, to more so just in general, the first game was like really much like if you really paid attention to like all the like notes and like parts of the environment and stuff like that, like the cult from the first game that they kind of introduced, that was like a big deal, because like with some of the notes they were talking about how there was like there was a murderer, a serial killer going around, and they weren't really sure who it was. And it was speculated it could be like this cult, it could have been Ruvik, it could have just been a group of people. It was very much unclear as to like who was like killing a bunch of people by the Elk River in the Evil Within like universe. And you know, even though we kind of delve into a cult in the second game, it's not. I can't necessarily say it's the same cult. They have similar symbols, but it might be just a subset of the same cult, so to speak.
Oh, maybe.
So there's like some inconsistencies with that, and I would have really liked to have had some of the questions that were also left open-ended from the first game, even if they were like very small details like that, where they don't really add much to the story per se, but it's like it would have been cool to see that stuff followed up upon, and then maybe also have some things from the first game that weren't necessarily answered or were kind of very unclear as to what happened with that be answered in the second game to some degree.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyone else on this question?
I'm sorry, what question are we on? I had to step out for a second.
6.
6? Well, oh, okay. I didn't answer my questions then. So
Actually, I forgot one. I think I didn't do 5, actually.
Go ahead, Andre.
But I'll go quick. Favorite boss is probably, I'd say Father Theodore's easily, and worst, least favorite was, I want to say the last boss, but mostly just about underwhelming it felt, compared to what you fought in the game, but that's just my feeling on it. But yeah.
Yeah.
And what was your answer for number 6?
Things I disliked in the sequel. I guess what Dom said with how the story, like, they don't address some things from the first game, and I guess maybe the stamina. Yeah, I really can't find much I disliked from 2, honestly.
Here's the thing
guess
about the
maybe-
stamina. It gets worse when you play it on harder modes. Believe me, it is trash with no upgrades. I'm telling you, dude. It's awful.
Yeah, I know it really is.
I might actually play the game on the Kuma difficulty then.
You really have to sort of do that thing where you deplete the meter halfway and then start like sort of slow walking and then do it again, because if something's chasing you, like they are on your ass like white on rice.
Yeah, it's a lot about hiding.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry, what was it?
We were talking about the stamina meter on classic mode.
No, okay, though, but I guess I had a question actually. So those of you that actually played the game on Nightmare or above, how do you guys feel about the game's difficulty? Assuming if you beat, the harder difficulties.
No, I did not. I tried, but no.
It's grueling when you have to get supplies in classic mode, from what I noticed, because there's a lot of... Here's my strategy, right? I don't fuck with any of the side content unless it's for a weapon. I try not to spawn the ghosts. Optimal strategy is to mostly run away from most encounters and try to prepare, which is why I had that strategy in the parking lot where you had to push the yellow crate. Most you want to do is spawn the enemies, bait them around, and try to jump over stuff. And the ladder is your best friend, because for some reason the Lost, they're so blind. If you get on the ladder, it's kind of funny seeing them run around like headless chickens. So it's hilarious on classic mode, and you can do a lot of strategies, but head-on encounters will most likely get you killed, and the boss fights are trial and error, even if they want you to save like 7 times within the whole game. And that starts to get really annoying after a while, because like I said, I had one instance where my game crashed. I had another where Oscura killed me and took a picture, a selfie of my face before she stabbed me. That was nice. and just a bunch of other shit that happened to me. So it's grueling, it's challenging, but I kind of like it. Just don't get too inconvenienced and feel like you're gonna quit or whatever. You have to push through.
I feel like a champion right now doing Nightmare on my first go.
Yeah, you are a champion.
I think I did it too. It was they had the upgrade tree, so I will say that did help me out a lot, but it is, if you don't know what you're doing the first time, you're going to get stomped.
But I'm guessing you didn't play on Kuma mode, or nobody else has, because that's a net exclusive difficulty mode, and I've been playing through it recently.
How you like it so far? 1-hit kills.
It's Evil Within 1 again.
Yo.
But at least you have an upgrade tree.
Oh yes. Imagine if they had a Kumu Classic, I would literally shoot myself.
Amen.
Somebody would be ballsy enough to do it though.
Yes, they would.
I'd love to see it streamed, but I would just rage quit. But people love seeing me do that, so.
Oh no.
Maybe I'll try.
Don't feed them
One day.
salt.
I won't
I'll do
blame
it.
her, because no upgrades and limited saves and 1-hit kills on you, that
No
is
way.
the definition of
no.
cancer, dude.
I wouldn't do that to myself.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, as long as they give you that nice Duran Duran song after you win, then it'll be all good, right?
Oh yeah, the ending song. I remember.
Actually, you know what?
Long way to-
The trailer for this game, the trailer for The Evil Within 2, deserves an award all on its own.
For
Oh,
real.
I
they
love
did
that reveal.
remix
It's
of
beautiful.
Ordinary World.
It's so good. I was like, man, I think that reaction is on our channel. I was so excited when I saw that because I was expecting it, but man, it was good.
It was touching.
I think I pre-ordered it like around the same time that it was like announced because I was like so fucking hyped. Like,
It made me
was
feel the
really
same
good.
feelings as which trailer was it where they show the slow motion zombies killing the family?
Oh, Dead Island.
That island.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Way better than the game.
No.
I'm sorry, was that catty?
I just think that's funny. And Dead Island 2 is never coming out, but that's another story entirely.
That's fine.
Dead who? Oh yeah, it is dead.
Said what?
Dead Island.
It's
Yeah.
dead.
So I can read off number 7 if nobody's talked about that yet.
Go ahead, sir.
Or everybody's done with number 6. So how did you feel? Before I like burp into my mic, how did you feel about the story and characterization this time around? So like just the general story, like my kind of nitpicking of like the like lack of like some of the smaller details that they didn't really try to address or answer from the first game in the second game. For the most part, I thought they were okay. I was actually surprised by like Sebastian. I didn't think I would like him as much as I did, and I think I almost prefer him over his iteration from 1.
Amen to that. He wasn't bad in the first game, but they gave him a lot more maternal instinct in his character, which
Yeah.
plays out
Mhm.
quite well.
And then like Kidman was really cool in this game too. I guess my like for story, like my biggest like gripe, and you kind of have to do, I think, the side quest in order to, or you have to do like some side stuff in order to figure this thing out.
Oh, I know exactly what you're going to bring up. You need the picture
Yeah.
slides. You need all 10 of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, so you need all 10 picture slides in order to find out that a certain someone is still alive.
Oh yes.
Yeah, spoiler alert,
Joseph.
Joseph is still alive.
My boy.
And, you know, they say, oh yeah, Joseph is alive.
I'm
and
like,
then
what?
They just leave it at that. Yeah, they're just gonna
Yeah,
drop
they
that
don't
on
even
you,
bring
and
him
then
up,
they're just gonna
like-
leave it at that. They're like, oh, we'll talk about him later, like, and
Yeah, I
they
was-
never bring it up.
No,
Didn't-
I
I was
thought they were
kinda
gonna bring
mad
him
about
up
that.
again in
Yeah.
the end part. Like, remember when
didn't
she
they do
does
that in
the
the
whole
first game,
shootout?
too?
Yeah. Like
Exactly.
that would have been so cool if like Joseph came in to like help out too and whatnot. Like, but it doesn't happen. So it's like,
Unfortunately.
yeah. So I really didn't like that they did that. Also, I know we talked about this a little bit, but like I didn't like that they killed off Stefano so early. I felt like what should have happened is that he would have like went away, and because he's an artist, right? He would think, okay, well, you know, I have to, you know, my art is never good enough. I need to like keep getting better, right? Like that's the constant plight of like any like
They
artistic
miss-
thing, right?
They actually missed an opportunity for him to see all the arson that was going on. Because
Yeah.
it just because sometimes a low fire environment can be like beautiful to the beholder. So imagine Stefano saw that though. He probably been obsessed with that type of environment to take pictures of people burning to death, you know,
Yeah.
Oh, that would
Yeah.
have been a
or
good scene.
Yeah.
or the
That
icy
was awesome.
icy semen looking landscape as well.
Oh no.
Yeah, and I think well, and that too, like because like the Lost, they have, at least in the first half of the game, they have like that painted aesthetic, right? Like that would have been interesting to see them come back, and then instead of having like more of like a white paint aesthetic, they have like more like charred or like ashy type of like paint.
Well, do you remember when
color.
you're in that room with all of the Lost, but they're frozen, and you can walk around and like kill, like, you know, bash them if you want, or just like
Mm.
kind of look at them? It kind of
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think what else. Oh yeah. There's also like one other thing about the story, I really enjoyed the side characters. I thought they were really cool. I didn't like that some of them died.
Forrest,
was
man,
like-
she died.
Like
Rest in
the
peace.
coolest characters like ended up dying, and it was just like, why? Like no. And then like
Yeah, like
you know,
Torres.
we have some characters where they you know, like you helped them out, and you know, they weren't necessarily against us, but they weren't with us either. They were kind of just looking out for themselves, but they were willing to get help from us. And you know, we helped them out, and then we never hear from them again. And there could have been some potential with like DLC as far as like these characters, you know, like Evil Within 1, 2 of the DLCs focus on Kidman. The last one focuses on a random character explaining how the like Keeper, at least in that world, came to be, or that stem came to be. But in this game, like, you know, we could have found out like, hey, did this character survive? Is like, why did this character go back after, you know, like Kidman, why does she go back and say that she still has stuff to do? Like, is she talking about Joseph?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, granted, like, it would make more sense for, or I wouldn't say necessarily more sense, but it would make sense if, like, Sebastian went out and tried to go look for Joseph, because that's his, like, partner. But as far as, like, notes are concerned for, like, Joseph in the first game, like, they imply that he kind of has a thing for Kidman, and maybe Kidman might also have a thing for him, so that
It
could
seems
also
like
make
that.
sense as to, you know, for her to want
Yeah.
to be like, okay, I'm gonna go fucking save him, because, you know, right?
Well, also, I mean, it makes the player feel really sad when these people die. So if that's what they wanted, it's successful, because they're actually kind of really bummed about your daughter, and
Yeah.
they want to help you. They're like, oh, well, I helped, but like I had no idea it had to do with your kid, or like I did help and now I regret it. So then when they die, you're like, oh shit, they kind of reconciled in a way.
I
In a
think-
sad
yeah,
way.
yeah.
I think you feel this the most with Torres because I swear, isn't she the one who kidnapped Sebastian's daughter?
Yeah, she's the
Yeah,
one that
she
mentioned that
kidnapped
she did
Lily.
it.
She's
but
a
she
badass,
also
too.
mentioned that like she really regretted doing that because of like what it did to Sebastian as a person. And,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Also, just
She-
the fact that like.
Uh,
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. But she definitely made her do so, because no, she was shot in the stomach by Sebastian, and she carried his ass from thick and high water and all that shit, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So she definitely did her do so, but shame that she died.
So yeah, so there's like a bunch of that stuff that's really cool, and then also like the ending to 2, like, and I know we'll kind of talk about this a little bit more later, but like, they leave you off on a cliffhanger, and it's like it's such a good cliffhanger, but then it's like,
Well, it's like
I want
Silent Hill
more,
too.
like
Like when you just walk
like-
off into the fog, you know, like when you get that ending in Silent Hill 2,
Well,
it's kind of like that.
leave ending. I
Like,
know you're
bye,
talking about,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so there's like definitely like those like side characters and like all this other stuff aside from the main game and like the main objective of the game that I thought was really good. Characterization, you know, again, like, and I don't mean to go on for too long, but it was really good. Like, I think all the characters for the most part, given what they had, like, did a really great job. Like, and I think probably consistently you'll hear like people say that Stefano was like the best antagonist. But I don't think Theodore was bad either. I just think that like I think they should have maybe swapped the two around in terms of like who we were really like gonna kill.
Theodore was definitely more thought-provoking, because no, he's definitely the talker, not more so than a fighter. Because the reason why he's a cult leader, because no, he can persuade people. So
Yeah,
that's what I appreciate about
Theodore-
him, though. But
Yeah.
wait, hold on, Andre. What's his name again? Sorry, Stefano's actions were more in your face. It felt more compelling than what Theodore's actions did, despite him being a compelling villain from a focal point.
Yeah, I agree. Theodore was more. He was more preyed more on Sebastian's. He was more psychological, if that makes any sense, because he's usually like he's mostly preying on Sebastian's past and his trauma, dealing with, like, you know, losing his daughter and his experiences at Beacon Mental Hospital. So, yeah. So with him, it's a bit more personal, I want to say.
It feels like a dual game in the sense with the antagonist. It's like Stefano's like up in your face, close and personal. He's a murderer. He does it all for the art. And then Theodore's like, he doesn't really want to kill Sebastian at first. He kind of wants him to be part of the cult. And then it's like, you know, Sebastian's like, screw you, and that's when they start like really being antagonistic towards each other. So it really feels like two different, and I also like how the environment changes as well once you get to Theodore, because like everything's on fire and shit.
Yeah.
But I guess we can move on to the next one, which is
Who wants to read
Number
number 8?
8.
Yeah, unless if somebody else wanted to read off number 7, I know I was going on a big old tangent. So
I guess I can take this one.
Go ahead, Andre.
All right. Number 8. If Bethesda decides to revisit this franchise after Ghostwire Tokyo, in which direction should they personally go in? You know, it's kind of interesting because I guess maybe they can add Kidman can come back. Maybe they can introduce a new character. I guess, like, you know, they have like no relationship to, you know, Kidman, Sebastian, Joseph. They kind of more so their own person, and it'd be kind of interesting if like the third game was more like, honestly, it was like more heavy on the detective stuff, but because I had this like idea for like, you know, an RE game where I guess the main character is like a detective and he's just searching, you know, for the serial killer, something like that, and it kind of deals like the same psychological horrors. It's just with that other character, you know.
I feel like that answer is good, but I also want them to clear up and remedy all the lingering plot threads that this game created, because I feel that's kind of old to the fans at this rate.
Yeah, I agree. What I want from 3 is actually proper closure. Because we got closure with Lily being safe now, but we didn't have closure for what happened in the first game. So let's take like, you know, what happened to Joseph,
Yeah.
what happened to Ruvik, what happened to the other threats from that game, and then let's go to the sequel. What's up with that base still being somewhat active? Because you see the thing in the after credits that it's turned back on somehow.
Yep.
So I think the next game should have like both Kidman and Sebastian, maybe as playable characters together, and have Joseph come back in, though, to give proper closure to their like circle.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. The only thing is I'm unsure if Sebastian will come back, because it seems like at the end of this game they're kind of alluding to the fact that his story is done, but again, it is something involving Joseph, so you would figure why not go help, you know.
Yeah,
I know you got your daughter back, but
that's what I'm saying. Like, he needs to come back for that reason.
Well, that's why at the end with you know, Kidman's whole shootout thing, I kept getting excited. I'm like, they need to bring up Joseph here, and they just didn't.
It was cool though. Cool sequence of killing all those agents. I loved it.
Yeah.
I think, like, as far as like coming off of like 2, and if they were to revisit this franchise, because like we don't know if it's ever going to come back, because I think 2 actually sold less than the first game, which is a real shame, because like,
to get context to that, actually, Bethesda was stupid by not giving out review copies for the certain amount of games they had in that year, in the following year. So because of that, sales actually suffered from most of their games not getting the press and publicity that it should have gotten. So that's why 2 sold less than 1, because they fucked up.
And that's true, because like on my Instagram story, every so often I'll post something about it, like, you know, if I think one of the villains is cool or something, and people are like, what is this? Like, on a mass scale.
Yeah. So it's a real shame, because like I said, we don't know if we'll ever get a 3. I hope we do, because I think it's well enough deserved, but I also hope that like you know, like Ghostwire doesn't be like that game that it's just like, okay, well, because of the sales of Evil Within, we're not going to touch it anymore, we're just going to start doing Ghostwire. And it's like, well, that kind of sucks, because why not do both, right? But anyway, as far as like what they should do, like story wise, like definitely tie up plot points from both games, really. I would like for them to address the things that were clearly never addressed, that could have been addressed in DLC, or like the smaller stuff that could have been addressed in notes from both games, really. I would like to see that stuff addressed in the third game, both through notes and also through like actual playable segments or cutscenes that we can see as we play the game. Okay, so like there's they don't have an art book released for Evil Within 2, but if you have the collector's edition strategy guide, they leave a few concept arts for that game there. And one really cool thing about like 2 at least was that they were going to make Sebastian, I don't know if he was going to be significantly older, but he was definitely going to have like a lot more facial hair and just a lot more like head hair too. That could be taken out of context, no pun intended, but he was gonna look like he was like straight up homeless, you know. And it was really cool because like he had like a bat as a melee weapon, and I don't know if that was gonna be like a non-destructible like melee weapon that you could just always have on top of a dog companion. Which I think would have been really cool to see because we don't see that often either. You know, the only game that I could think of that comes off the top of my head with that is Haunting Ground, because you get Huey to like kind of protect you. But
or Call of Duty. I'm just kidding.
yeah. So
Or
like,
Monster Hunter.
Yeah, Monster Hunter.
The Palico.
But yeah, so like I think like maybe going through that approach where like I don't know if you should necessarily have Sebastian become that character now, because like it doesn't make sense in the context of 3, because like he kind of got his life back together after his daughter was rescued. It seemed like he decided to like sober up finally and like clean up basically after he got his daughter back, at least by the end of 2. So and it looked like at least that some time had passed before you know, we see like Sebastian with his daughter again, and also the STEM facility, because there's like a lot of like dust in there. So so again, I don't necessarily think that Sebastian should be that character. Maybe if they really wanted to do something interesting and say like, okay, well, we've already kind of finished up Sebastian's story. Let's talk about the other 2 characters, you know, Joseph and Kidman. What if Joseph was playable this time and had to go through kind of that like scenario and setup, you know?
That'd be cool.
That would have been good, yeah.
So
I would like that. That'd be nice.
and then, you know, again, aside from that, because I need to constantly stress this, but like that like the characters that we're unsure of as to whether or not they're dead, it would be nice to see like you know, for them to come back and have their story explained as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So what number are we on now? Number 9?
Number 9.
I could read off number 9.
All right.
Is there anything that you would like to see enhanced or added into the Evil Within 3 in terms of gameplay only? You know, actually, because if I remember right, Evil Within 2, they did add in like gunpowder mechanics, so like I can't say, oh, they should add in gunpowder. No, they should keep that. But like, I think there needs to be more, like, I know like crafting has kind of become a typical trend in these kinds of games, but I would like to see more like crafting of like self-defense traps that you can use if you have to like hold down in an area. Because one of the things that really annoyed me with the first game was that like you had fucking Pete Hines from Bethesda coming up and being like, oh yeah, and this is in regards to the first game, like you have to like craft everything with barbed wire, and you have to like assemble like traps that you can use against the enemies and stuff like that, or you can disable the ones that the enemies made and use that for parts for your weapons and your own like defensive like traps and stuff like that. And I always thought that shit was kind of weird, because it's like it's not in the game clearly. Like, yeah, you can disable traps and get gear for like upgrades and whatnot, but you don't.
Dom's dead.
Dom, what happened?
He's dead.
No, Sebastian got to him.
Oh no.
Hey, he finally got stealth killed. All right.
No.
He ran into one of the mines he was talking about setting.
No. He tried to disarm a trap and he failed to determine.
He got his soul sucked out by Anima.
Oh
That-
no.
that's it.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll go until he gets back. What they can add or enhance for starters, like I mentioned before, the FOV and the movement, the feel of the game. That also, they could potentially add in a dodge button, kind of like how Revelations 2 and 3 Remake done it for Resident Evil. But I feel like Sebastian's like current movement speed is too stilted, so he's not fast enough to dodge stuff, even if he had the automatic passive one.
Mm-hmm.
I would speak more, but my goddamn fire alarm is going off. I would say, did you talk about the dodging yet by any chance, Brandon?
Oh yeah, I just said it'd be neat if they have a dodge button, dedicated dodge button, not that automatic thing they have.
Did you say that? I didn't hear you.
Yeah, because you died.
Yeah.
Did I cut off? Oh, you didn't hear a thing that I fucking said, did
Yeah,
you?
dude. The last
You cut off.
You
the
got
last
me.
thing we heard you saying disarm a bomb and something like that, and then you disappeared.
Oh, what the fuck? Oh my god, I'm so sorry about that. I didn't know. Like, that's the second time I've been disconnected. I was saying that, like, you know, Pete Hines is saying, like, you could disarm, like, bombs and, like, other traps, right? And you could craft your own traps out of the parts from that in the first game. That doesn't happen. You know, he lied about that.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I would like to see that be actually implemented into the third game, you know? So,
Yeah, all I want is my dodge button. That's about it, because I feel like this game sort of needs it. And I also feel like for a survival horror game, dodge worked perfectly in Resident Evil 3 Remake. I don't see why it can't work in a game like this. It gives you more mobility.
also, because you guys were saying that I was cutting off. As far as weapon upgrades were concerned, I was saying, like, I don't mind them using, like, gun parts for upgrades, like, as far as, like, you know, the ones that are scattered around. But I would also like to see, like, maybe, like, dedicated detachments, kind of like RE, where you can get, like, specific things that would upgrade the gun itself as well, in that regard.
Oh, so like the ones where you get the extended clip or the enhanced damage, or maybe like the scopes.
Or like the laser and red dot sight that you get for like some of the guns into.
Yeah, that's more visually interesting than just going into the skill tree and upgrading it through that way. I want to see like the fruits of my labor, you know.
I agree.
Yeah, so long as, and also I hope they don't do this lockout system again, because I don't remember if that's in the first game or not. But in 2, you need red gel and weapon bolts to progress through a tree. I didn't like that because it's so restrictive for my personal take.
No, I think one was just the gel itself. I don't think they were.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of the gel system in the one. I think that it was just kind of dumb that you have to upgrade how much ammo you can hold in your gun. That makes no sense.
Yeah, I think it's kind of weird with the whole red gel system. I think they were rare to get, to
Very
my
rare.
memory. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to go out of your way to find them. If one doesn't pop up in your way.
Yeah, I just wish for a traditional, you know, once I upgrade enough, there can be a currency system like the green gel, but just map it to that instead of getting an entirely separate currency that's rare to find.
You mean like the first game?
Yeah, just like the first one. Because I don't think red gel was in the first one. Correct me if wrong, though.
No, it was not.
Okay, then. Yeah. Just keep it like the first one.
I think
If anything, real quick, if anything, red gel should just be like a mega bonus of gel.
Yeah, maybe like after you kill a boss or something, you get red gel, and then it's just like a multiplier of like a lot of green, so you can upgrade your shit.
Or maybe some in the lockers.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that too. That gives you incentive to go back and find the locker keys.
Oh shoot, that pissed me off in the second game though, trying to find all those
Whenever I
keys and
found
then you
one,
miss
though,
one.
I was so excited when I found one by accident, though. Like, oh my god, a little statue.
You know, it gets on my nerves that some of those things are so easy, like in plain sight, and then you realize, oh, it's right here the whole time. I pass it up. I'm stupid.
I think my favorite one is the one where you have to shoot a mobile rat to get the statue because one of the rats is carrying it. I'm like, how the fuck is this possible? Okay, well, I'm just gonna blow his brains out and get my locker key.
Don't
I have
question
no
it.
idea. Man.
Don't question.
Rats or something.
They're strong too. Anyway, I guess we can move on to question number 10.
Yeah.
I can read that. So, what is the best and worst section of this sequel in your opinion? Describe why. I really liked the beginning of the game with the city. I would say that's the best section. The one I didn't like is probably the caverns where you first encounter Theodore because you have to get the cranks and there's hysterics running around in a very enclosed environment and they can see you. And it
That
sucks.
part sucks in classic because that's literally a run ender.
It is.
Yeah.
It is because that was my last run end on that one. I went for the crank, I ducked past the hysteric, and then all of a sudden when I was cranking the gate, she saw me, she spawned right in front of me, and she killed the ever-loving shit out of me. And I'm like, I officially hate this game until I go back to it later tonight. And I get to be a glutton for punishment, so there's that.
My favorite areas is actually two. Is the like Renegade said, the city portion, like the very early ones, because the amount how expansive it is and all that jazz. But my second one is actually the near end of the game where you encounter Mara, those snow environments. I think that's a beautiful sight. I love that area.
Yeah, I like that
Yeah.
one too.
I think
So-
my favorite area was my bad for cutting you off.
Oh yeah, no, you're good. You're good. Go for it.
Okay, favorite area, I really like the beginning of the game. I kind of like how you, I kind of usually like in games when they do this, like, I think usually with the opening, it's kind of like this really short segment where you have to go through Sebastian's house and you have to find Lily and the house is on fire. And when he finds Lily, it turns out it wasn't really Lily and it was like a hallucination and Lily, she gets burned alive. And then Sebastian wakes up and it turns out he's in a bar. I really appreciate that. Least favorite. I think what Ren said, yeah. I didn't really like that section that much either with, what was it with Theodore? That part was really annoying.
Yeah, the cavern and the firewalk is like literally the worst sections of the game. I'm pretty sure another one is probably the assault on the house with Torres on classic mode
yeah,
because
That actually annoys me the most. For some reason, I don't know why. I know it's a little section, but I can't stand that one. The little house.
it's so many enemies. They're pouring through windows, doors, asses, everything.
It's not as fun as Resident Evil's 4 Little House segment. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, I love that one. But like the beginning, I agree with you guys. The beginning of the game is my favorite. I kind of like roaming around and finding little hidden things, like that really disturbing scene with the mom like shoving food in her son's mouth.
No, it wasn't food. It was garbage.
Whatever it was like
the Todd
cockroaches and
Howard-looking
garbage. Yeah,
kid.
and then the other one where you walk into the church and you see that like priest going crazy and stuff.
Oh yeah, that part was
Yeah.
cool. I like that.
Because you don't have to stumble upon that. That's why it's cool. It's like, oh shit, now I can go in the church and this is happening.
It's just
Yeah.
an optional little scene if you want to
Yeah.
get more green gel.
Or like little garages and stuff. They wake up and lock you in for a minute. Cool.
Yeah, I definitely like the side objectives from that because there's so much cool little like side stuff that you can do to explore different environments. As far as my favorite environments go, I'm actually gonna be a little bit different here. So my least favorite is obviously going through that whole fucking like on fire version of the town. Especially when you have to run through and do like that like ring of fire portion, and the ring starts to get like smaller and smaller as you move up closer to like getting towards Theodore.
I could side with that one. It's mostly the Ring of Fire one, not necessarily the city itself, because I do like the arson portion. But that part in particular it wasn't hard though. It was a little bit annoying because I died once because I wasn't expecting an enemy to knock me into the fire itself.
Yeah. But as far as like my favorite, I actually like the catacombs of like the cathedral kind of area. I thought that stuff was like really cool because like, you know, it's like it was like more stuff in relation to the cult, and I wanted to see more stuff like that. So it was like I was getting so excited when I saw it because I was like, oh, are we finally gonna learn about the cult and shit? And clearly we didn't, but it was like really cool just to kind of like go through like that cult's whole like not cathedral, but like catacombs, and like kind of delving into like how they like buried their dead.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I did like
So-
that
Mhm.
too. Yeah. Or
And
I
it's like
actually
all
like
underground, and yeah. But,
well, there's that, and then remember like toward the end when you run into the effigy, like, and then the zombies kind of like when you kill them, they kind of just turn into rock and shatter,
oh yeah.
and they run really fast. I kind of like that too because it changes it up.
Yeah.
The effigy is really
Um,
cool too. He's like a walking street post.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying. Well, and technically, this is like towards the game. This is after Theodore. When you're looking for Myra, some of the like broken off town segments, very much like Silent Hill, actually, in terms of like the like grayed out aesthetic.
Mhm. And the fogginess.
Yeah. So it's like that was really cool too. So
Maybe that's why I liked it so much. It was just something familiar.
I think I don't think we brought this up in the previous. Well, actually, the previous. The previous question. I think it would be really cool because keep in mind they're using like a iteration of IdTech 5, I think. And they call it the STEM engine, if I remember right. Like their iteration, because it's like modded to do like third person. It's not meant to do third person normally, but I would like to see them using like maybe if possible a completely different engine altogether, with like because RTX is like the big thing that's coming this like next generation. So like for consoles, like we're gonna have it as like an option regardless. PC, you know, that's gonna be like whether you have a card or not to do RTX. But I would like to see something where it's like the environments are like, you know, interesting in terms of like lighting, like unique lighting, like color effects and stuff like that for 3, with like RTX options, because I think that would be really cool.
Mhm.
Okay.
I apologize if you can hear that car in the background. I'll mute.
It's one of the Lost attacking Dom's car. All right.
Not my car.
I live in New York City. I'm surprised it's so quiet right now.
All right. So I wanted to cycle back to a previous question because I don't think I mentioned this. It was the question about the improvements of Evil Within 2 over 1. I didn't mention that there's no enemies with guns in this game compared to the first one. That's a fucking godsend in my opinion.
that's
Wait,
right.
that was the thing?
Yeah, there's no
that was
enemies
right.
with any guns in this one. In the first one, they had guns, like turrets, everything.
Guns
That
and
makes me mad,
turrets,
too.
ARs. I think they had bolt action rifles, and they had crossbows. Jesus Christ! I'm gonna slash that dude's tires.
Yeah, someone have none.
Yeah, the Lost
okay.
had no
In somebody's
guns.
spot.
I have no fucking idea. I think there's this one guy. I know this is off topic, but there's this one guy that like lives around here that has a car that every time he fucking starts that thing, the alarm goes off on it. You know, I don't know why. So
Dom, like I said, he's the Lost. You gotta take an axe to his kneecaps. Come on.
Gotta kneecap him.
It's the only way.
But yeah, I'm so glad there's no enemies with guns because I felt like it made the first game really annoying. Also, there's none of those vats with the acid. I hated that in the hotel.
Oh, that's right. You hate all the same things I hate. I hated that stuff enough to not finish it.
Oh my god, it's also the phantoms as well that looks like
That is a kill.
mini Rubiks, so to speak.
I know you're
Oh
talking
yeah,
about,
okay.
Oh god,
The
those
ones
I
that
hate
spawn in the
those.
Laura hands, yeah.
Oh,
So I have a bit of a hot take actually. I actually really like all that stuff.
No,
Fuck you,
don't.
Dom.
That's a really hot take.
I'll be honest with you. Here's the thing. I like those roof. I think their designs are cool, but I don't like fighting them. I think they're really fucking irritating to fight.
Dude,
Well, it's
playing
kinda
that.
like in,
Actually,
well,
Good.
it's like Silent Hill 4. You know, like the ghosts that don't die and they sound like a vacuum cleaner. It's like it's too irritating.
so those enemies in particular, like they're actually really easy to kill because just like the regular haunted, if you shoot them with the fully upgraded harpoon bolt, which turns into the firebolt, not to be confused by the DLC firebolt, which is an AoE firebolt that is only really useful for like early game. They will go down in like one hit. So once you know that, it's like they're actually really piss easy.
I think I don't like them because I already know that in the beginning of the harder difficulties, when you are about to open the wooden gate, one of them is right there, and I'm like, look, you're supposed to
Yeah.
be in the middle of the fucking game. Why are you here?
Yeah, you're not supposed to be here. Yeah. The acid thing though, like I just thought that was a really cool aesthetic. We don't really see that a whole lot, and
Yeah.
granted, the first game, and I know like a lot of people had an issue with like the traps in the first game. I really didn't think it was that much of a problem. I think really the bigger problem, and this is something I also bit of another hot take that I didn't mind. The 16:9 aspect ratio, the letterboxing. I didn't mind that, but like I know a lot of people really didn't like that because they couldn't see the traps. So you know that I can understand more so than the amount of traps that they had in the first game, because the first game really required you to be like visually keen, I guess.
I actually
Yeah.
turned that shit off for first game letterboxing because I want to see the ground.
Oh, but you played it post patch, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I played it day one. I pre-ordered that.
Yeah,
shit,
me too.
so,
Actually,
like,
I remember that.
Evil
Yeah.
Within 1 is just basically if you were playing like with Letterbox, that game is just staying crouched the experience, because I got so conscious of traps and exploding shit that I couldn't run around that much anymore, so I just stayed crouched.
That's why I was
Dude.
like, this is
Yeah,
like
I feel
Skyrim
there.
with like the little eye and stuff. Just
Try,
reminded me of Skyrim when you're sneaking around.
Try playing that first game with a Kumu mode and no upgrades, and tell me what happens when you get to like I think it was chapter 7 when they have you do the fucking defend Joseph segment.
Ugh.
I'm
That
good.
shit's fucked.
I think what
dumb.
happens is I delete the game. I think that's what
I just delete and take it back to GameStop. I'm good.
Yeah.
uninstall.
But I know we were diverging. We were on question 10. Did anybody have any opinions to share before we move on to number 11?
Okay. No, I'll read up number 11 since it's the last one.
All right.
All right. So this is our last question, right? Let's make sure. Yep. All right. What's your personal score or rating for the Evil Within 2? Okay. Well, for me, it's bouncing between a 7 and a 9. Why that low for 7 is the technical issues and unexplored areas, but as a 9 because how much it greatly improved as a sequel and it has a great potential for the next game.
I would say an 8.
out of 10 jars of goo.
Yeah, I would say an 8. An 8 works
So-
for me.
8 out of 10 for me. It's a really good game. It has a few technical issues and a few story issues, and there are some things I do not like, but overall a good game. Really good game.
So I don't personally do recommendations of like based on like letter scores or like number scores. So I when I recommend a game, I recommend it based on price. I paid $60 for this game. Do I think it's worth $60? I think like now you could probably get it for less than that at this point.
Yeah, it's cheap now, so if you pay $60 though, you're pretty much robbing yourself.
I think now it's
I
like
think-
10, 20 within that range.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like
probably
20 something.
used. Yeah, so like, I mean, if you ended up somehow finding a like brand new sealed copy that was going for MSRP, I wouldn't personally recommend it unless if you really are a stickler about getting like shit sealed. $30 at most though, if you can get it brand new sealed though. I think that's like more than reasonable. only because, like Brandon said, there are some technical issues with the game. But otherwise, it is a good game. Also, partially because Bethesda did advertise this game as like, oh, well, you can play it without having played the first game. And I think that's partially true and partially untrue. I think that if you play the first game, it would be more ideal because you have like all the knowledge of like the story at least, like, and the characters for you, like, for the second game, like, ready, and you'll kind of have a better understanding of what's going on. But also know because it's a more personal story. So
Well, I did watch
it's
all the
definitely
cutscenes, so
oh, I'm sorry.
I did watch all the cutscenes on YouTube because I didn't finish the first game, so that did make it better.
Really?
Yeah, for 2's case though, it's definitely more standalone-ish though, but you do have your bits and pieces of references from the first game. So I will say yes, you definitely should at least play or watch a cutscene montage on YouTube to better appreciate and understand the second game.
Yep, because I think you will not know why Sebastian wakes up in the bar at the beginning after his little encounter at Beacon Mental, and you also won't know any context to Joseph or Kidman at all if you don't play the first game. So everything else is pretty much standalone-ish, but you need to play the first game to understand what I just touched up on.
yeah.
Well, if I did see him in a bar at the end, I would be sad because I would realize it wasn't Sykes getting him the drinks that he promised him.
Oh, he's stuck in limbo, so
It made me really sad. He's like, drinks on me.
it reminds me of another chopper pilot who promised drinks and he got blown up. So
Mike.
yes.
Rest in peace, Mike.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, look, if you're in a helicopter in Resident Evil, stay away. Just stay away.
Unless if
Don't
you're
say I'll be
coming to
right
pick
back.
up the character. Unless if you're saying you're here to pick up the character at the very end after all that shit is done. Like that's the only way.
Well,
It's
in
a-
that
it's a
regard,
red
though,
flag.
you'll be an important character anyway.
Well, if you're a scaredy cat, make sure you're driving the helicopter.
Oh yeah.
but I think that's it for this podcast. I think we could do outros. So, Mr.
All right.
Brandon,
Yes.
outro us, sir.
Okay, well, I'm starting my outro first because I am important. Okay, so you can find me on Twitter at Immortal Brando. Everywhere else is none of you got in business. Renegade, you go next.
You can find me on Twitter at RenOperative_. You can find me on YouTube, Renegade Operative, and you can find this channel at the Infinite Ammo Syndicate, where this podcast will be uploaded. Hopefully, it's up by tomorrow, but I'll let you guys know in advance.
All right, Bio Devil Lom, go next.
You can find my sleepy ass on Twitter, YouTube, on very rare occasions Twitch, as biodevil_dom. I can finally say that I've uploaded the Onimusha review, so you can go watch that now. What I'm gonna work on next, I have no idea because I'm kind of trying to deal with some personal life stuff at the moment, so that's a thing. But as soon as I get that sorted out, I may possibly be able to do videos more consistently. So that's just got to be put on hold for a moment.
All right, Dirty Dom, go next.
All right, you can find me mostly on Twitter at the Dirty Dan _.
All right, Andre.
You can find me at Twitter at Andre B Venom. And yeah, it was a pretty fun podcast, all things considered.
Mhm.
All right, and last but not least, Miss Petty Eyes. Sorry, I forgot your real name, so my apologies.
Oh, so my name is Christina Loza, and I am
Christina.
on Twitch on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday nights at 9:30 Eastern Time. And I have to accentuate that on Thursday nights, I do this thing. This is how I get most of my followers. I stream 90s point-and-click games, the really twisted adult ones, on
Oh,
Thursday
that's
nights. So
cool.
that's, yeah, classic game night. And then also on my art Instagram is Cult of the Bones, because my private one, you can follow me on there, but I am a nanny, and sometimes I wear lewd outfits, so I really don't need parents following me. But if you find my private one, I will approve you.
Okay. And that, ladies and gentlemen, that was our Evil Within 2 discussion podcast. I hope you enjoy our shenanigans and have a good night. Also, look under
Bye.
your bed at night.
Bye.
Oh yeah,
See ya.
definitely.
Make sure your
Bye.
room isn't on fire, but bye.